Welcome to episode 4 of the Don't Stop Podcast. Last episode, we were in Tokyo, Japan. We actually had 2 other episodes recorded, but
Technical
issues, so we're re-recording. But on this episode, we got some big news that Oliver has signed with a CBA team, so he was actually signing his contract before we started.
Yeah.
Why don't you share the good news
Yeah,
with the fans?
signed with a CBA team, Nanjing, in the city of Nanjing, and it's gonna be my first season playing in mainland China. But obviously, I've been playing pro 4 or 5 years now. But I'm looking forward to the new challenge and playing against good comp and just getting better.
Look at this contract he had to sign. We had to go to Staples today to get red ink.
Yeah, like I had to do a finger.
Don't be zooming. We don't want you zooming in on his contract.
I had to do on every single page. My it's still a little red because I can really wash it off well.
How do you feel?
Feel good. I mean, I'm excited to keep getting better. Yeah, offensively, defensively, matching up against imports is one thing I'm looking forward to the most, I'd say, because CBA has pretty high level imports for the most part. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that challenge.
So this episode, we're going to talk more about off-season prep that we've been doing, or Oliver's been doing, and me helping him, but also, with about 1 month away from preseason-ish, 1 to 2 months away from preseason, depending, when your season starts, how you want to think about preparation for the upcoming season. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask Oliver, as you get ready for your season, what are your upcoming season goals for yourself?
I would technically be a rookie, so rookie of the year would be good. I think making all defensive team would be another good goal that I have for myself. And thirdly is just for our team to make the playoffs and make a push, because last year was actually the first year the club made the playoffs, either in franchise history or in a long time.
Okay.
And so, yeah, keep that momentum, and hopefully with my contributions and obviously the whole squad, we can make another playoff push.
The reason I wanted to ask Oliver that is because I think it's really important as you try to prepare for the season and you speak out your goals of what you're trying to accomplish. And so to take a step back, why don't we, right now it's July, end of July. Why don't you talk about what we've been doing this off season, how you've been training, and then I can, from a coach's perspective or a trainer's perspective, kind of share more about how we thought about this off season and what we tried to accomplish.
It started from last off season, to be honest, when we first started doing work together in person. So Josh and I actually only met in person about a year ago.
But we've been talking online.
Yeah, we've been talking, but we were just chatting about this now that it was our 1 year anniversary meeting, bro. Anyways, to continue, yeah, it's mainly integrating for myself, because my role on the team is not like high volume FGAs. It's really locking down the other team's best player and then making good decisions, making shots, timely shots. But also this year we'll be playing some point guard. So just working backwards from that, my role on the team, and then getting better at the things that are going to keep me on the floor. And so throughout last offseason and even this year, mixing in things or training where I'm shooting threes in a fatigue state, or where I play defense first into a shot, or a defense rep into an offense rep. So those are things that have helped a lot, I think, in terms of when those situations happen in the game, slowly shooting a better percentage. That's obviously the best indicator, but also just some subjective feedback as well. Whenever, recently when I'm playing in runs or when I'm getting any live reps, I can feel that even when I'm fatigued, the intent to shoot or be aggressive offensively is still there, because I obviously pour a a lot of my energy into defense. And so sometimes, especially when there's been a back and forth, you're a little winded. Any hooper would know when you're super tired and you catch a shot or you catch a ball, you might be open, but if you're not confident in your shot or you're severely fatigued and you haven't worked on it in training, you might pass up a shot even though you might be making shots in training, or you might think you're a good shooter. It's just a different type of training and different type of reps. And so that was one of the biggest takeaways from last offseason, and we've continued to build on that.
Yeah, I think to take a step back, to the beginning of the offseason, Oliver had finished his previous season playing in Japan. And so we were just trying to think about this offseason, what would be the highest ROI or the things that he should be really focusing on to take his game to the next level. And so the two things that we identified was being able to handle the ball under pressure, especially, if you're playing in Asia. Oliver traditionally does better against bigger guards because he's more physical and he's strong and he's got quick feet. But then playing in Japan or in Asia, the guards are a lot smaller and shiftier and quicker. So first thing we identified was, being able to handle the ball against those shiftier guards, also being able to stay and guard smaller, quicker guards. And then the other thing was just consistency with your shot, or maybe I should say efficiency of your shot, because Oliver, like you said, plays a lot of defense, a lot of back and forth, full court defense, and being able to have the confidence in his conditioning
at any moment.
And his shot being efficient enough that he doesn't feel like it's, high energy expenditure. So I would say, those are the 2 or 3 top goals that we gave from the offseason. And then, from a trainer's perspective or some of the players who are watching, what you always want to do is work backwards, right? So identify how much time you have in the off season, how many times you're planning on working out a week, where you're going to be planning on working out. And then the two things is me and Oliver always talk about is like keep your strength, which is your defense. Your defense has got to be your strength, and always working on that. So that's kind of how we thought about it. And then in terms of where you were actually training, right now we're, in Maryland. This is Oliver staying in the guest room, and this is our home gym.
Josh's.
Yeah. But where were you training this off season? To start, and what were you doing?
Well, so backing track to the end of my Japan season. So right after that, I had a couple weeks to basically, get back into the flow of things. I mean, I didn't really stop training, but needed a few days for a little mental reset.
Yeah, of course.
And because if you've played or play professionally, it's not always the physical toll. For me, like I can handle, the workload or, any types of training. It's more dealing with things that might be out of your control, and then how to keep a positive outlook on, the future and life ahead. And so took a few days to, get some sun, be in nature. I find that really helps me. That's one of the things that I try to integrate into my daily life and even weekly, or, whenever I feel like I need it, just get out in nature, whether that's, you might be a forest guy or you might be a beach sun kind of guy. But after that, there were some games in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. We played some teams in Southeast Asia, and then also there are some Chinese teams that came down to Hong Kong to play. And so that was actually pretty good in terms of getting me back into, you could say, tip-top game shape, because we played 5 games in 7 days.
Well, to give people context, towards the end of your end of your season in Japan, like you didn't get as much playing time, right? So inconsistent playing time. And so that's what Oliver is talking about is, as a pro player, you always have to be ready at any, moment's notice. And so that's probably that series of games is probably the first time in a while where, you had that high volume of minutes.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously before that, I knew games were coming up, so I tried to get up and down more. But there's no better conditioning than the game itself. And so I remember that first game, I was actually relatively winded because I was just going crazy on defense. I was picking up 94 feet against the starting guard and also the backup guard and whoever was basically bringing it up. I was hounding them for 30, 35 plus minutes. And I remember by the end of the game, I was actually pretty gassed, And so we ended up playing a back-to-back, and I actually felt better the next game. And then the next game, I felt even better. And so I know my tip-top conditioning is when I've strung together games or a week of high minutes, and then being able to recover a bit from that. That's when I'm at my very best. Like I don't feel tired at all. And even within the game, I also feel, we always talk about that first wind where you might be tired like momentarily.
Like adrenaline.
Yeah, in the first few minutes, you actually breathe pretty hard. Then after that goes away, your lungs kind of open up. So when I reach that kind of state, maybe if I'm getting consistent minutes, it might be between second, third quarter. Basically after that first quarter initial fatigue, I don't get tired. So like I can go ham on both ends of the floor. And I mean that's built up from years of, training and my background as well. I used to swim a little bit. And but yeah, that was basically what I observed in terms of my own conditioning for games.
And so one other thing that Oliver and I have been working on this offseason is just like and last offseason too is just a lot of defensive reps before he goes into offensive reps. So maybe a closeout, 2 closeouts before he has to, relocate somewhere else for a shot. Just because we want to somewhat simulate the same conditions that he was seeing shots in games. And so he's used to that and used to shooting after, these rapid changes of direction. But the other thing that we also wanted to work on was being able to shoot being cold coming off of the bench. And so some of the drills that we did was just having Oliver lay on the ground, imagine he's on the bench, heart rate, calm, and then, me standing in half court going, Oliver, time to check in, and different strategies, whether there's breathing strategies of how to ramp up his heart rate and his nervous system and just get him ready, firing, just so when you're playing pro sports, you have to be ready. You can't say, coach, even high school level, you can't be like, let me get 3 warm-up shots.
Let me get a couple stretches in before.
Yeah, so we wanted to we wanted Oliver to have strategies to prepare for that. And so, anytime during our workouts, we might mix that in where it's like, Oliver, just chill for a second. I call him in. He's got to go from the baseline, from the bench, run to half court, do his breathing, where it's like we go 2 inhales through the nose, 1 exhale, and then he does some type of quick hip switching, quick high knee jumps, where he just gets his heart rate up and then checks in. And then I tell him the scenario where you got to guard this guy to half court. You're gonna get the ball, you're gonna get dribble, and then you're gonna pass, dribble, handoff, and then you get 1 shot. And then it's rest. And so just so, if you practice that and you have developed confidence in that, like in the game, that's something you have trained, a quality of train. I think that's really important for those listening or other players who are listening, is like to identify what your role is on the team. And so, if you're a shooting guard, and that's great. You set your goal as like you want to work on, if you play off the ball, and then you said you want to really improve, your ball handling in the off season, but you got to remember, like, if you're going back to your team and your coaching staff isn't really expecting you to take, more than 2, you gotta have 0-second decision almost, you get 2, 0.5, you get 2 to 4 dribbles max, 1 to 3 probably, where it's either
if you're
shoot,
playing off the ball.
you should off ball, it should be shoot,
That's
stampede, get to the basket, or
Explain to the listener what a stampede is.
yeah, just as the ball is coming, you're already creating momentum into the drive. You notice the guy's closing out, and instead of catching the ball and then trying to drive, you already like take a few steps. So yeah, it's like as he's going, the defender's closing out, you're going this way, and it makes it a little bit easier. So it's really important. And so we tried to prepare Oliver for this upcoming season for multiple scenarios. Obviously, the account is how to make it to the NBA, so we always try to prepare him for that. But this is the opportunity that came up, and now we're probably anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. And it's really important, for Oliver this year, because last year, because of the inconsistent playing time, it was still a good, valuable experience, and you would say you probably learned a lot of things mentally. But this year we're trying to prepare him for getting minutes, right?
Yeah.
So, well, why don't you talk about this offseason you've been spending a lot of time. Generally you spend a lot of time in Irvine. LA usually has some of the best runs. You got Rico Hines, you got Drew League. You've been playing in the Drew League.
Yeah, so this year was my first year playing in the Drew League, and overall it's been a good experience because every game there's a good amount of uncertainty. And then so my team, every game there's slightly different teammates. And then obviously the opposing team, it's my first time playing any of them. So I actually sometimes like to make it a point not to, like, film study is good when I'm trying to guard someone, but also like when in a professional season, when I'm going up against someone, I'll study their tendencies and all that. But then in the Drew League, I don't know who I'm playing. And so within the game, you need to be able to adapt as soon as possible within maybe 1 or 2 reps. And so as someone who picks up full court, I know this. And so the first rep where I pick someone up depends on how warm I am again. But these games I'm usually starting. And so that first rep is kind of, I'm not gambling. I'm not taking too many risks. I am trying to stunt and trying to, make them feel my pressure, which I definitely do, but it's more about kind of feeling just everything. I don't think I'm paying attention to one specific thing. I'm literally just within the whole rep, I'm just, guarding them and then learning. And so by, the third possession, I'm guarding them, I'm able to stay in front better. By the second, third end of the game, I'm getting deflections. I'm able to make more plays in that sense. And so every game I'm playing some high level players. And so last game I was guarding this player, Jerome Randall. Some viewers might know. And so the first rep guarding him, he's really good with his change of pace, his rhythms. And so, he was mixing it. He was doing all kinds of stuff that I had never guarded in person. And so he was definitely like turning me, and I was, but by the end or after a couple reps, I was able to anticipate like while it was happening. And so I even got a couple deflections, 1 or 2 steals. And so, that's been the Drew League. And
well, before you move on, I think that's really important for people watching is the ability to observe and learn and iterate. But similar to a boxing match, when you first start, people start jabbing, and they're feinting. You're trying to see how the defense or the offense are reacting and what they do. And I think, you probably, I don't even know if you know how to articulate what you do, but I'm sure there's things or tendencies you do on defense to see, like you said, you don't gamble, but there's probably things that you do to see how he's reacting. Oh, if you try to go up super, like jam him, how he's gonna play. And I think that what really separates, good players, what really separates great players from good players is how fast can you do that? How fast can you iterate, learn, observe, and make changes? Because at the highest levels, it's about adjustments and who can make the adjustments faster. You can't wait till a coach or someone does a film study or there's a timeout or someone tells you, hey, that guy's doing that. You should be doing that. It's you, like you said, one possession, just one time he does it, and what they're gonna do. It's like Tom Brady. Why was Tom Brady so effective as he, got older and maybe a little bit less athletic? Was pattern recognition.
Yep.
He could, if someone moved just slightly this way or there was a small movement, he could anticipate before. And I think that's probably, as your defense has improved over time, I think maybe anticipation is probably one of your super
Yeah,
powers.
I mean, that's why going back to leading up to the season, the closer we get to like arriving, the more of these, runs or games you want to be a part of. Because every game it doesn't even have to be a game. It can be a run. I'm always, while it's happening or also after, I'm always reflecting on certain reps. And it could be something I did well or something at that instant I could have done but didn't do. Like I saw something or an opportunity, but I didn't grasp it.
Yeah.
So like to give an example, during Drew League games, there might have been one play where, to give an example, one pass away, or in the Drew League there's no 3 seconds, and so they try to incorporate some NBA rules in there to allow for the spacing, and so that's why many teams they have really good one-on-one players, and so knowing that, sometimes when I'm not guarding on ball, because at this point teams know how I play defense, and so some guys will try to, because they see how I play, they want to go at me, but many people will also try to, basically whoever I'm guarding, they'll be like they'll have someone else come pick it up, and then I'll mess with them, and then so when they're coming up, I'll switch back onto the guy that was coming up to bring the ball up instead of this other guy because he didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, no, switch back.
So it's stuff like that. And then I'm starting to, even when I'm off the ball, try to be like a quarterback. And so I'm calling out for a teammate of mine to, yo, go. And then when they go to trap on the baseline side, then I drop down to prevent his guy from cutting. So it's little things like that. It might not always result in a turnover or a steal, but it might be out of bounds. Or I feel like slowly through these games, our team is also become more collectively motivated on defense. And so that's one thing my team, that's why they wanted me there, and that's how I get my minutes. It's because I always bring the energy, I always bring the hustle, and yeah, even if I'm not making 5 or 6 shots a game, I'll get a few points here and there. I might score 5 to 10 points, but it all comes from the flow of the game. I'm not forcing up shots, and my contributions come from defense, and that's what keeps me on the floor. And so my most important stat, we've talked about this before, is playing time. It's just being out there in the mix. And so whatever keeps me out there, that's what brings me joy, right? I love playing the game.
Yeah.
And so being out there, even when I'm on the bench, I try to talk to the guys. But Drew League is a mix of, to be honest, is a mix of personalities, on both teams.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see why, certain guys
don't make it.
Yeah, they're not playing professionally, even though they're dumb bouncy, their head's at the rim.
Their nose is at the rim.
It's after a missed shot, or maybe they don't touch the ball, or a ref makes a call, and then they're and then they turn around and start walking back on defense. It's little things like that. Coaches, professional coaches, they see that, and that's what determines, whether you get paid or not sometimes. And so that's what I realized, is that talent is, very prevalent, but yeah, it's those little things as well that will
make or break it.
yeah.
I think one thing is really important that you do or that we try to do or set up for your workouts is playing against a lot of different type of high level players. And when I say a lot of different types, I mean short players, tall players, really athletic ones, super like stocky football type player ones. I think in the off season, or especially as you're getting ready for your season, getting exposure to that, because as you play different teams in high school, college, or pro level, if you're listening to, like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get matched up with all different types of people, and you need to, the more experience you have during the off season, and I really like the idea of not for these not having a scouting report, because it is forcing you
Adapt quick.
to learn how to adapt quick, and that is probably one of the best skills you could train for yourself is becoming an adaptable athlete. That could be shooting, finishing, playing on defense. um, the other thing that you said with the Drew League and those people not being able to make it to the next level, it's you need to know as you're going into this next season, you really need to know one, your identity as a player. And you could hear Oliver sharing that his identity is defense, and that's what's going to keep him on the court. And
It's not always been like that though, so we can talk about that
yeah,
too. Yeah.
but if what I'm trying to say is if your identity is a guard,
Yeah.
it's okay. And if you want to, in the off season, you wanted to work on getting in your bag or scoring, that's fine. But you need to know that, if you're entering your season, that is if that's the role you're going to be playing, that right now is that time where you really need to be focused on what that role is, and honestly being great at that role.
Yeah.
Another thing that I thought about is,
And on that note, you have to be honest with yourself or communicate with the coach
yeah,
like what they expect from you, because these things are I've spoken to the coaching staff on the team that I'm going to be playing on, and they've seen me before in person, and so they know what I can do. That's one of the reasons why they picked me, and so they know what I can do defensively. But if anything, it's those things we talked about for my off-season goals. It's some offensive goals or things that I can keep improving at. And so if you're listening to this, you have to see, you might be in high school, college. I mean, no coach is not going to want someone who can lock up or play defense,
yeah,
make shots, good attitude, hustle, 50-50 balls. Those are all things in your control. And that's actually a learned skill, because it might not come natural to you, but whenever you have these training sessions or these runs leading up to the season, you should have little goals for yourself or focuses to get the most out of it. And so we've talked about this before. When you show up to a run, if there's something specific you want to work on, then by reminding yourself of that, you could get some more reps for that thing you're trying to get better at. And it very well could be like better communication or better body language. If that's something that's held you back in the past, that could be something you actually work on, because at that point you might be skilled, you might be more athletic, you might jump higher, run faster than any other player, but it's because of your body language that's holding you back. Then if you're listening to this, you got to be honest with yourself, and you just keep getting better at it. And you might have to fake it at first. You might feel some type of way inside, but you have to start channeling it, and then eventually it's going to become natural and it's going to help.
For sure. And I think, what Oliver's talking about is setting an intention. That's probably the most important thing. I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but until you learn how to set an intention for your workout, setting an intention for a run. So we can only build the skill if we intend to do it. So what Oliver's saying is, if you intend to improve your body language, you have to challenge yourself to smile, be like, good job. Or, what something that Oliver shared earlier was he set his intention to shoot shots that he should be taking regardless if he felt fatigue, right? So if you want to improve on the actual skill of shooting under fatigue or after multiple bouts of defense, when you are faced in that situation in a pickup game, you have to push yourself to shoot it, right?
Yeah.
Because there is going to be the voice in your head that's going to say, this is, maybe I shouldn't take the shot. This isn't the best shot and whatnot. So I think for players right now, it's like you got to know, you can't just go into a run and not have any type of focus as to what you're trying to accomplish. The other thing that I think is really important, that for you to be, especially if you're a guard position or point guard position, there's a lot more to just running the offense. As a point guard, you really have to manage egos and emotions. And the reason I'm talking about this is because Oliver was just sharing about in Drew League, there's a lot of times where as a point guard, you got to know, hey, this guy's starting to get pissed. He's not getting touches. How can we get him involved? Oh, what play can we run? Or you got to be able to communicate with the player, like, yo, I got, hey, next play, let's run. Let's run this. Let me get you, hey, I'll get you going. Like as a point guard, it's not, a mark of a great player is really being able to improve everybody else on the court and bring out the best out of everyone. And that is another, like if that's a superpower that you can develop, like you can be successful. There's players like this on every single team. There's been so many times where I watch a team and I'm like, that guy does not look very skilled, or he looks kind of goofy. But whenever I find out more intel on him or something like that, they'll be like, no. This guy is the glue of the team. The way he practices, the way he does certain things. And I think that is a very underrated skill.
That's on that note, that's actually something I've been trying to improve on myself. It's, say, to take the Drew League, for example, because of the way I'm playing, like the way I play defense, play hard. I'm one of the only guys that can actually hold other guys accountable when they don't make the right play, or they don't get back on defense, or when there was a rebound that they should have gotten but they decide not to box out. I can talk to them and they'll be like, yeah, you're right, my bad. Like they'll listen because of how I'm playing.
You walk the walk. They're like, damn, Oliver's out there laying it out.
So and then when they do make a hustle play, or when they do lock up, or when they get a good rebound, I let them know.
Yeah, affirming them for sure.
And so those are just little things that can help the team. Because I mean, in any game, not just Drew League, it's a game of runs. And so if you can, go on that run, or withhold that run, or stay together when the other team's scoring, that's a huge difference.
And it's learning how to communicate with your teammates, or it's not even learning how to communicate with your team. It's learning how to communicate with in your situation, sometimes 4 other people that you're not used to playing with is a very important skill. There was a player recently that started training with me, and he asked me if I had noticed anything at the runs about his game and what he needed to improve on. And he was kind of more asking me like what he needed to improve on offensively. And actually, the biggest takeaway I noticed about the game was that he performed very well offensively, but he did not really make the other guys better. And he was giving a lot of people advice like, come on, you should be doing, like, don't shoot that. But like,
they're not gonna listen.
But the way he communicated, you could tell that it wasn't getting through. And so you may be right and you might know more basketball, but if you're not able to communicate it in a way that someone can hear it, then it's meaningless. It's, if they can't listen,
they can hear it, but they're not going to listen.
If they're not going to do it, then what's the point? It's like, okay, cool, you were right. Awesome. But like you didn't achieve the result. So actually my feedback was to him was, hey, when we're at those pickup runs and you get matched up, like the mark again of a great player is it doesn't matter who he's matched up with. If he's got 4 new teammates, he very quickly, like how you're able to identify tendencies of offensive players, this point guard can identify what is the winning condition for his team. Oh, we got
Who
quick
has a
guys.
mismatch
Yeah, who has the
the
mismatch?
advantage?
Who has the advantage? Like how a play style, and I think, and he can convince his team and his teammates to play that style and get the most out of them. This is obviously like no one can really teach you this, but you can set yourself an intention like, hey, when I go to the run, I'm not gonna, some guys always try to stack the teams. There's always that dude who just tries to be like, yo. And then they see you and they're like, nah. You know what I'm talking about, right? When you go to pick up runs, like challenge yourself to play with different groups of people over and over again. What we're trying to say is as you prepare to go into this next season, it's how you can be a holistic teammate, but how actually to pare it down even more, how can you make the people around you better? And how can you get the most out of them? And what we kind of were just talking about was the way you communicate to your teammate. Like nobody's going to why can you communicate that way to your teammates? It's obviously like action, right?
Yeah,
So
action.
you have to think critically, like, are you, walking the walk too? But also nobody really likes being told like you suck or that was such a dumb shot. Why'd you do that? Like you have to think of effective ways to communicate, and that might, it's a trial process where you're gonna have to learn, and you're gonna have to be able to read people. Like that is a very, very valuable skill, and especially like Oliver, thinking about Oliver going into the CBA, there's going to be it's going to be a mix, right? There's going to be a lot of teammates that welcome you and like, I've seen your stuff, I love it, I want to work out with you, but I guarantee you before I even there's going to be teammates
Yeah.
or people who, just, it's true, hate on Oliver, think he's too old, think he's only
Not good.
not good, or his defense isn't that great, or he's only in the CBA because, social media or whatever. Like Oliver's main task is going to be, it's team basketball. It's got to be a cohesive unit, and he's got to be able to find ways to communicate with the haters as well as, the other people who are, supporters and stuff. So I think that is going to be probably, and you're coming in as a rookie too.
Yeah.
Right. And let's be honest, like if you're a rookie, you come on the team, like you got to know your place.
Yeah, I mean that's with every team. There's always dynamics going on within,
Unless you're
teammates.
the guy.
Yeah, teammates, coaches. But I mean, for the most part, I have people around me that believe in me,
Yeah.
which is why I'm there. And so I know what I bring to the table is can't be matched. Like it's not replaceable. And so let the action do the talking. And I know all the work I put in, it's not gone to waste. And so once I get out there, I'll be able to show what I can do.
Yeah, so I mean, thank you for everyone for watching this podcast and supporting it, and for comments and DMs and whatnot. And I know for you, a lot of your supporters or fans, this is going to be the first time being able to watch you in person.
Yeah.
And be able to meet you. And also, I think what is going to be a unique perspective is you'll be able to share more insight as to what it's like to play professionally in the CBA and that lifestyle. And we're gonna have to, what are you gonna do about your IG handle? Are we gonna? Is this part of the process?
I'm keeping it because it's just another step in the journey.
Another step in the journey. So, rookie of the year, all defensive
Team or player, I'm not sure.
Player? We'll have to figure that out.
Just lock up. Just lock up everyone.
Just be the best player you can
be.
And then, individual goals plus team goals, which is, last year your team got to the first round of playoffs. And Gene got to so, I mean, anything better than that. And yeah, so if you guys, we're probably going to film, a few more episodes, especially while Oliver's out here. This has been, a big year for us. We've been able to, meet up, New York, Tokyo, China, and now in Rockville, Maryland, and be able to continue to build, build this community of people who just want to improve, and for us to continue to share just what we're learning and what we're working on during the season. So if there's anything else that you guys want us to cover, let us know, leave it in the comments, and we'll try to
Yeah, I mean,
deliver.
that's why we're doing this. It's just to share, and it's ongoing because we're both always improving at our craft. And even doing this podcast, we're going to keep doing better and better.
So we are going to try to be better with frequency. I know that's a common complaint. We're working on it. We're working with an editor, and we will get these episodes. So thank you for joining. Please like, subscribe, do your thing, and we'll see you on the next one.